But could I first get a motion to adjourn from our executive session?
Madam President, I would like to make a motion to adjourn from executive session.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning from executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Tonight we have a special presentation from Jason Crampton from the City of Chandler Transportation, and he's a transportation planning supervisor. He's going to present about a new program for the City of Chandler that may potentially benefit our students.
Yes. Thank you very much for having us out here this evening. Very excited to talk about this new transit program we call Chandler Flex. As well, I'm going to talk about a protected bike lane that'll run past a couple of elementary schools that we're excited about as well. So first off, I'll get to our Chandler Flex transit pilot. So this is a brand new concept for public transportation that we're excited to share. I'll get into how it works a little bit later, but I think it could be a huge benefit to students at CUSD, particularly high school and junior high students. We actually got funded to operate this service for 2 years through A for Arizona because they saw such potential in assisting students getting to and from school. And we're not necessarily talking about helping students that they want a different form of transportation other than the school bus. When you've got school bus, that's great, but maybe after hours, if you're in some programs like sports clubs or before school 0 hour, this can maybe fill some gaps of the school bus system. So I'll talk a little more about how it works here. So it's a form of microtransit. And how it works, we have smaller vehicles. So instead of a bus that operates just straight up and down an arterial street, stopping at select locations, this is more flexible. It will go into neighborhoods. You download an app on your phone, request a pickup, and then the vehicle will go meet you close to where you are. You may have to walk a little bit to get picked up, but it's very flexible, a little easier to work than the bus. And then it'll take you to your destination. Along the way, you may have to share rides with others, but pretty easy way to get around within a service area, and I'll show you that here in a second. A little background information first. The Transportation Master Plan that the City of Chandler adopted back in 2020 actually recommended about 7 different flexible transit areas. We did a study on the Price Road area to serve our commuters for the Price Road Employment Corridor, and we found that that area is just a little too small and doesn't have the mixture of land uses necessary to make this transportation work. So the study recommended that we expand that, and in doing so, now we've got a mixture of land uses, and we also encompass Chandler High School, Hamilton High School, a couple of junior highs as well. Looking at the service area, the map here shows the area in orange will be our main core service area, and then the area in blue, which is north of Chandler Boulevard, just north of Chandler High School, goes as far east as McQueen. That's going to be an area designated only for students, an additional expansion zone that Chandler High, ACP, Hamilton High, even if they need to, can use just to expand that a little, make the service a little more usable for students. But within the service area, you've got employment quarters. We have 60,000 employees, 30,000 residents that are underserved currently by transit, connections to 7 different transit routes, including the Chandler Park and Ride and Transit Center. So if students need to go outside this area, we have a number of transit routes that can get them further north or west or east. But the schools that it serves, as I mentioned, Chandler High, Hamilton High, Bogle Junior High, ACP Junior High, and then one charter school basis Chandler. So we are working with a contractor on this. Their name is Avia. They're the largest microtransit provider in the country. They do this very well. They'll provide all the software, vehicles, drivers. They'll help us with customer service, data, as well as marketing. So we'll be relying quite heavily on Via as our staff kind of makes the decisions and guides this service along. But we're very close to launching. We're getting right up to that date. We've got a July 14th launch event that we're planning. You all will be receiving invitations here shortly for that. And then it is a 2-year pilot, so we'll start in a few weeks here. We've got funding to operate for at least 2 years. We hope to expand that even more and make it a permanent program, but the first 2 years is kind of set. As far as the fleet, this will be utilizing minivans to operate service. So the idea here is there will be shared rides, but only up to maybe 5 people at a time would be on this service. So we don't want to have people stuck on this vehicle for an hour while you drop off 8 different people while you navigate through neighborhoods. So about 5 is probably the maximum you'd ever see on a vehicle. We have 5 that would be in operation during peak hours, 2 spares in case anything happens. 3 of these vehicles will be wheelchair accessible, and a couple will be plug-in hybrids. As far as the operations go, this service would operate Monday to Friday from about 6 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. Again, 5 vehicles during the peak hours, and then during the middle of the day when there's less usage, we'll have 2 vehicles out there. Wait times on average, once you get in your app and request a pickup, you'd have about 15 minutes on average before the vehicle arrives, no more than 30 minutes. Walking distance. So as I mentioned earlier, you typically are not going to get picked up right in front of your house or wherever you request a ride. Sometimes you will, but on average, you'll walk about 1/10 or a little more than 1/10 of a mile to a pickup location. This will help the vehicles not have to deviate so far and add time to other passengers' rides. As far as the fare goes, initially we'll provide a free service to try to build up a ridership base. And then as we build that ridership base, the fare will be implemented probably around $1 or $2. However, for the 2-year pilot, the service will be free for students, just to make sure that we can make this as useful as possible to our students. The one caveat with that being if students just kind of have an overwhelming demand and we cannot meet that demand with the number of vehicles we have, we may need to implement a small fare like $1 for students. But the goal is to keep this service free for students throughout the pilot. So here are just a few images of the app and how it kind of works. So you get in the app, you request the ride, put in your destination, and then you'll select an option that it gives you. After doing so, you'll get notifications for when your vehicle is on the way, when it arrives. You can track the vehicle on the map in your phone. You can kind of watch it drive toward you, so it's kind of fun. And then after your ride, you can input post-ride ratings. So if we're doing very well, give us 5 stars. If it's the worst experience of your life, maybe 1 star. But then we can learn from it. Why was that ride bad? So, and then finally, bus schedule integration. So if you want to transfer to a Valley Metro bus route because you need to go further north or further east than what our service provides, the schedules will be all loaded in there, and you can easily plan when you need to arrive at the bus stop. So again, simple trip booking. You just tell us where you're going, get a couple of options, and then the vehicle will come to you and you can watch the whole way and get you to where you need to go. So a different form of providing public transportation we think will work very well for students here, hopefully. So that's all I have on that program. If there are any questions or discussion on that, I'd like to entertain that.
Thank you so much. I do have a question. Is there going to be a minimum age for students?
Yeah, great question. So to ride the service without the adult supervision would be 13 years old and older. Anybody under the age of 18 would need parental consent to ride, but under 13 would need to be accompanied by an adult.
And how will you be collecting parental consents?
So that's a challenge with technology. It'll be through the app. So they do this kind of throughout the country, and this is something we asked about as well, had a discussion about it. It's generally through the app and kind of just a waiver that has to be filled out, and there'll be, it won't be just kind of a waiver you can scroll down and then hit a tab. There'll be kind of like pop-up notifications that'll kind of guide you through and make it clear that you cannot ride this service at a certain age. But yes, it's going to be through the app. There's not going to be like physical IDs issued or anything like that. But as riders input their information, drivers will be able to verify, and if something looks a little bit off, we can flag that rider or take other approaches. But initially, it's just going to be inputting information into the app.
Okay. Do any of our board members have any additional questions? Mr. Olive, did I see you kind of interested in, or not?
No, I didn't have anything. This looks really neat. Thank you for bringing it to us.
I have one more. I'm assuming there's going to be a communication, marketing, so students know that this exists, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, great question. We've been working with Ms. Berry, Terry Locke as well to start that process, but that'll be critical that we get that communication out there. It's not going to be as apparent as a bus and physical bus stops that people would just kind of see out on the street and know about. So that outreach is going to be critical, that we reach all the students so that we can best benefit them.
And then another quick question is, are there certain, I guess, safety protocols in place for the riders, for if you get too rowdy teenagers or something along those lines? What happens?
Yeah, so good question. We do have driver training so that they will be equipped to handle a situation with difficult passengers, conflicts such as that. So that they'll go through a training protocol. The vans are also equipped with cameras so that we can monitor anything. There will be signs that kind of say, you know, you're on video. I don't know what exactly the sign will say, but something to that extent, so people know they're being recorded and hopefully will act appropriately. But yes, the driver's training, I guess, is the key component there.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
We
great.
appreciate you coming out, and this sounds exciting for Chandler. I know that it's kind of been a little difficult to get around Chandler sometimes without just, you know, only utilizing the main bus routes, and that takes quite a while. So this is, I think, a great addition to the public transportation in Chandler. So thank you for bringing this towards us, and I hope it's very successful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, Mrs. Brunner.
I just was curious if you might have said it and I missed it, the start date?
Yes, so we plan to have a launch event on July 14th. Invitations will be sent out to all of you. Service we'll do the soft launch on July 12th, but the full launch would be at that July 14th date. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So with that,
Oh, yes.
I'll move on to the Fry Road protected bike lane. This will be a little bit quicker to get through, but on Fry Road, we plan to install physical protective barriers between bike lanes and vehicular lanes. So this will be an exciting project and pertinent to the school district here because there are 5 CUSD schools along the corridor. So the project will start about a half-mile west of Arizona Avenue, go east all the way to the Paseo Trail, touching San Marcos, Fry Elementary, Willis Junior High, Bologna, and then the Chief of Learning Academy. So let me see. Project description. This will, as I mentioned, install a physical separation. So currently we have bike lanes on Fry Road. However, traffic can get a little fast there, and to put yourself right next to that high-speed traffic can get a little dicey for some people. So especially younger students and families at these elementary schools. So the idea here is to add that protection in, add a little bit of comfort and safety, make people feel like they can use these bike lanes to get to and from school. So the building blocks of a protected bike lane include horizontal separation, a little buffer, a little space between a bike and a vehicle, and then a vertical element which would add that physical protection, make sure cars don't drift over there. And then inevitably there will be crossings at driveways, street intersections that cars will have to go across this. So it'll be critical to add high visibility marking and signage at those conflict points. And so here are some examples of what the protected bike lane could look like. We've got on the top left modular railing placed on top of concrete curb, raised median with landscaping. This is actually an example from a short project in the city of Mesa. Precast modular, this could be just a curb kind of placed down. This is not quite as desired because it doesn't have that vertical element of separation as much. And then parking protection. So this will come into play on the backside of Willis Junior High, where you've got on-street parking on Fry Road. We can utilize that parking to shield the vehicular lane from the bike lane. Now, the really exciting part about this project and how it can pertain even more to CUSD is artwork. As I mentioned, this will pass by 3 elementary schools along the corridor. So our goal is to work with these schools to develop artwork by students at the schools that we can install at the locations in front of their school. So these panels here are steel panels, and they've got vinyl wrapping. I've been in communication with some of the principals there at these schools, and one idea was to have an artist go and work with some of the students and kind of incorporate different, elements of various students' artworks into a combined design that could be placed out front. So the hope is we can work with some of the schools there and give the students and schools an opportunity to put their fingerprints and feel a little more ownership in this new project. As far as the timeline, we've already completed a study. We are currently underway with design, which we hope to complete by April of 2023. Construction would start toward the end of 2023 and go into 2024. So as far as this artwork goes, we hope to work with the schools over the second part of this year and come up with a conclusion, hopefully toward the end of this year, that we can then incorporate into the final design package that we send out for construction bids. So with that, I will be glad to take any more questions or comments.
Do any of the board members have any questions? Or staff members? Questions? No? This sounds really really kind of fun. Lots of some student artwork, and it'll be really neat. I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product. So, and of course, as you can see, we do have usually a lot of our art masterpiece. So we may have some of our volunteers helping along with those type things too. So,
Nice.
Thank you so much.
I just want to, President Mazen, just to thank the city and the partnerships that they're working with in this transit piece as well, by being inclusive and including the schools in the process and in the progress of that as well. I know you guys have kept communication open. I think that art thing is going to be a neat piece for the kids to be able to be expressive, and I know that'll be a neat thing for them as well, and probably get more usage too. As we know in Arizona, a lot of kids don't ride their bikes anymore. They kind of get driven to school, and so hopefully this will be another effort to be able to promote that opportunity for kids to be able to ride a bike along a safe corridor to get to schools. So I appreciate you guys doing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Crampton. We appreciate it.